You are listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice.
and Jane. I just fucked it up. See, I blame everybody else, and then
Whoa.
I fuck it
Do it
up.
again, and on recording, and everybody's going to hear you repeat it and do it again. Let's go.
Okay. La 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 la. Okay. You are listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice.
and Jane.
There we
And
go.
we are coming in hot today on the
Hence the fire.
Hence the fire. It
That's
is
right.
a fireside chat. It's a fireside chat. And we have a very, very, very special guest.
Well, I'll be the judge of that. I just met the man, so I'll let you know how special he is.
That's true. That's true. And we've each had a couple of guests on. I think now JP is like our mutual guest.
He is.
Yeah. We both have tremendous love for that man.
Yes.
It's just so weird how you fall in love with JP.
I know.
It's weird. It's like I obsess. No, I'm just kidding. So we have our mutual friend JP at this point, and then you've had a couple of your friends on and family members, and I have too, and stuff like that. So it's so fun. So I love that we're bringing on one of my other people in my world, and a very actually like important person in my world, because we have been besties for how many years, Kyle? 13?
It's been 14. A long time.
Aww.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And we have been through a lot together. A ton.
Yes.
Like I think he probably knows a lot of secrets about you. Again, he and I are going to need phone number exchanges because I need to know some stuff.
Talk to her.
We can make this happen.
Look, Kyle, please don't ruin my image with my sister. Okay.
That's right.
I'm not.
As far as I know, she like walks on water and floats with the clouds. I mean, she's just perfect, evidently.
She does. I believe sometimes she actually takes back her human form from being like either a unicorn or a mermaid. Quite often.
Wait, everybody take a moment and picture that. Okay. All right. Continue.
Jane as a unicorn.
Okay.
I pictured both at the same time. The unicorn mermaid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wow.
So great.
That's a whole new visual that
it really is.
Probably
you know what? I can see you turning this into a tattoo.
No, do not. No.
Yes.
I love it. All right, let me back up for a second, though. We got to tell people what we're going to talk about, so they'll keep listening to the episode. And then you're going to pick back up with your intro to Kyle and how we ended up. You tell them how we ended up here. The fireside chat today, you guys, is going to be about pet peeves.
Yes.
Which means every single person in the world can relate to this conversation because we all freaking have them. And it's a fireside chat because, God only knows where it's going to go when we start talking about that kind of stuff. But now come back to Kyle and tell us how we ended up deciding that we had to talk about this.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So just in a nutshell, Kyle's and my relationship, again, we've been friends for almost 14 years now. We met through a mutual friend in the tattoo industry, started talking, and I don't think ever stopped talking since then. So, we just, it was one of those friendships that you just click, and everything makes sense and everything is hilarious and we have a great time together. So, Kyle lives in Atlanta, Georgia, or close to Atlanta, Georgia. So he's 3 hours ahead of me, but it's great because he's a night owl. So we get to talk for a couple hours each night. So we actually FaceTime almost every night and hang out and have our own like Stony story time is what we call it.
Stony story time. Yeah.
Therein lies. Okay.
Yes, therein lies. Yeah. You know what? I didn't smoke weed when I first met Kyle. So that's the truth of it. So
yeah, but you just came out of left field with it one day and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally a stoner now." And I'm like,
and he's like, "Dude, this is so cool that you like smoke weed and we can just do this." And I'm like,
"Oh my gosh, I love it."
Anyways, so the other night we were talking. And he told me a story about what happened to him that day.
Yeah.
And I started laughing and I was like, come on, man, it wasn't that bad. He's like, no, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, this is deep seated. Like this has a really long root to it. So where in the world did this come from? And he sat there and thought, and then he told me the story and I was like, there you go. So it was like and it wasn't even really a pet peeve, but I tied it to pet peeve because that's like the quickest thing I could think of. But anything that gets your goat, like it could be trauma, it could be a funny thing, it could be you were embarrassed, or it could be anything. But we all have certain things that are either one triggers for us or a pet peeve or whatever you want to call it, where it's like we do not even bend on it. Like, this is
Yeah.
what it is, and
Like there's no
that's
tolerance
fucking
for it at all.
Zero.
Yep.
So Kyle, I would love for you to share the story that you told me, and then the story that was the root cause. So please enlighten us with this story, because it was great.
Well, can I
Okay.
really
Oh
quickly
wait, yeah, go
interject,
ahead.
Kyle? So we heard who you are through Jane's
Oh
lens,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
what else should we? You live out near Atlanta. What else? What else should we know about? Who is Kyle really? Is what I'm
Yes,
trying
because
to say.
actually,
Okay.
Kyle,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I live like maybe about 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
Okay.
Lived here pretty much my whole life. I have 2 daughters, and one's 27, one's 18. And let's see, I help manage a carpet cleaning business.
Nice.
And we do water restoration, crime scene cleaning, trauma cleanup, stuff like
That's a
that.
whole other episode.
I know.
Shit. That's a whole. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But let's see.
You're a gun enthusiast. You are
definitely a gun enthusiast. I have some really close friends that own several gun ranges around here.
Oh, cool.
So I go and help out in their places.
Right.
Sometimes and hang out, and I like shooting in the competitions and just the camaraderie of everybody there. So
nice.
Just do that and try to hang out with my kids as much as I can and just enjoy life and go do stuff.
Love it.
Well, Kyle, a couple of things I can say about Kyle is that he's a tremendous father. Like, that's one thing that I have always been like,
thank you,
not envious, but very appreciative of his point of view and how he raised his daughters and co-parented with his ex-wife and stuff like that. Because I met him when his now 18-year-old daughter was 6? Was she 6? Something like that. So
she was
little. And Jenny was 6 months old,
Yeah.
So but he's always been such a consistent person in their life, and pretty much took care of a lot of them a lot of the time. So, and his one daughter lived with him no matter what, she wanted to be with dad. So he's a tremendous dad. He has the kindest heart in the world, would give the shirt off of his back to anybody, and loves all things stupid.
Oh, no, not right now.
This is not that kind of show, Kyle.
No, not that kind of show. Not that kind of show.
No, it's not that kind of show. It's not that kind of show.
I got a little carried away.
So he asked me, get this. He asked me, he goes, is this the Free the Nipple campaign? Because I'm ready for it. I'm like, no, we are not freeing any nipples on our podcast. No, not even yours.
That's a whole different level of fireside chat. So
yeah,
we're not there.
Right.
We're not in that business, Kyle. We're not in that business.
That's awesome, though. So now I feel like I know you a little bit better.
Sorry, that was my fault.
A bit of context. No. I know, because we needed to hear it from him too, right? So, all right, let's hear it. What's the story that led us down this path? I'm so excited.
Okay. All right. So the other day, I finished doing a job. I'm at this apartment complex, and there's this lady walking a dog, and it's a little husky, a little puppy, and it's super fuzzy, super sweet little dude, and he wants to play, and he runs up to me, and I'm petting him, and he pees on my shoe. And I was like, it happens, like little stuff happens from time to time. And oops, hang on one second. Sorry about that. Did I lose you? Oh no.
No, you're good.
So, no big deal. I get home and I immediately just put the shoes in the garage. I'm like, because I'm like, I can't do that. Right. And I'm very clean. All right. And like my shoes stay in boxes, organized. They stay.
Oh, wow.
I keep all my stuff clean. Right.
So that's a key part of this story. So you have your shoes are like in their original boxes. So you're a shoe guy. Like you dig shoes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Keep going. Gotcha.
So I was like, dude, I'm not going to clean them. Once I've got pee on them, that's it. They're it's going to smell forever and it's horrific and I'm not dealing with that.
And I go, I'm like, Kyle, you clean carpet for a living. You remove pet odor from carpet. Like, you have to have something. And he's like, no. And like with conviction, with his whole chest. And I was like, okay, this had to come from somewhere. Where did it come from? And he's like,
okay, here's what happened.
All
right. When I was a kid, on Christmas, I really wanted these pair of Air Jordans, right? And I was so stoked. I had wrote a letter to Santa and everything, and like it was like you know, it took a kid a long ass time when it's like 2 pages of how
Oh my
you
God.
need these shoes in your life and how you're gonna run faster, you're gonna jump higher, you're gonna do everything, you know? Like it's just trying to sell the whole bit.
I love it.
But got them and I'd wear them all the time. One night I left them outside.
Oh no.
One night. And a cat peed on them. And you're not getting that smell out. So it's like it ruined it. The shoes were ruined. I tried to clean them. I tried all kind of stuff and everything. And it was like, no, man, I can't have this. So, you know, the other dog, you know, like if that happens, no. I mean, it's not like I get peed on. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying in general. Like I usually don't just randomly walk around and get peed on by animals, but you know.
So that was it. It was like once he peed on it, you flash back to that experience. And actually the first time it sounds like you did try to clean it. And because nothing worked, you in your mind, it was like, that's it, it's over.
I was like, no way, man. No way. Like and I think it's also like a combination of doing carpet cleaning for so long.
Yeah.
That like when I walk into an apartment, I can tell if you had a cat. I can tell if you had a dog.
Interesting.
It's the same thing like certain cooking odors, like you learn what is what, so that way you know the right chemicals to combat whatever you have to deal with or whatever treatment you need to do. And it's like walking in, it's like it's just gonna smell terrible. And I'm like, I'm not willing to make this sacrifice for my foot, dude. Like, no, I'm just going to get another pair of ants. Like,
oh my gosh, that's awesome. So I'm guessing the day this happened, when you were telling Jane, you were probably pretty pissed. Like you were frustrated as hell about it, I'm guessing.
Well, it was one of these things, like I wasn't going to let it ruin my day because I have to be honest, I have a multitude of shoes to pick from, but it was one of these things where I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, dude, I was trying to pet you, bro. Why are you gonna pee on me, man? I didn't pee on you. You know what I mean?
What, though? I think you're to blame though, because clearly you got that dog so excited that they just couldn't control themselves, literally.
I don't know, man.
Oh my God, that's
just one of those little puppies, just little pee-pee puppy, I guess.
Little Peabody. Oh,
so Jay, so what are you thinking about then? Like, so this, in this case, it was like you said, kind of a pet peeve in terms of the fact that it included pets and that there was pee. So because of that, pet peeve,
it's a pet peeve.
Pet peeve.
Yeah. But it sounds like you said, like you dug beyond it, was like, okay, I get why you'd be mad, and but the fact that you won't even try to clean them makes no sense at all. And then you kind of got to the backstory.
Right.
Because I was like, oh man, because if I try to clean this, I know it's going to happen. Like there's certain kind of chemicals you can use on things, certain not. And it's just like, nope. And I know the way I am about cleanliness.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, that's like the pet peeve of it about it. So I know
it's there.
It's like, you know, I'm driving down the street and I'm like, well, here goes old P-foot getting ready to go to work. You know?
So it sounds like a little bit of pet peeve mixed in with a little OCD.
Yes.
That's
it is.
Like,
it
nope,
is.
not having it. So so I'm gonna let's kind of talk a little bit more about like additional pet peeves that we have. And the really funny thing is that Jane and our audience knows that Joe and I have 6 kids between us, and one of my daughters today called the 26-year-old, and she was like telling me about being she lives on the East Coast in Virginia, and telling me about being at a family dinner there, and someone at dinner, I won't say who, I don't think they listen, but I don't want to embarrass anybody, was eating with their mouth open. And she was like, I was coming into this episode today, so I've been thinking about like, what are some of the top pet peeves, what are all the things, and she was like, Mom, oh my God, all I could do, I was sitting there and all I could think was like, at least cover your mouth, because I guess he was talking, right, while he was like, she's like, at least cover your mouth. And she's like, she's like, that has never bothered me before, I don't know why. And I was like, honestly, I think it changes as you get older, like the stuff that bothers you changes, it's not always the same. But it was so funny, and I just said to her, that is honestly one of my biggest ones, people talking with their mouth full, or just making noise when they chew. Oh my
Mm.
God. It's like
That whole like
Yeah.
that smacking noise.
I
Yeah.
can't. It just makes me want to gag. It just makes me want to gag. And there's no backstory to that, Jane. It's just makes me want to gag.
Well,
It's just
it
gross.
looks gross. So
Exactly.
I'll share one of mine, and this is, I think this is one of my, probably my top pet peeve. And this is deep rooted for sure. And it's individuals borrowing or using my stuff and not putting it back where it belongs.
Oh hell no.
I will lose my motherfucking mind. I go to 0 to 60 in a half a second, because especially if I'm looking for something, and because I know exactly where I put everything, and I don't want to say photographic memory, but I think I do, because
Yeah.
I can, like, I'm a very visual person. So if somebody goes, "Oh, do you remember where these things are?" Actually, yes, I remember putting a bag over it, taking to the storage and putting it in this
Yep.
exact spot and blah blah blah. Like, I remember
Yep.
exactly where it is.
Yeah.
So I know where my shit is.
Yeah.
And when I go to look for it, or when I go to get it, and they're like, "Oh, you probably didn't put it." No, I always put it back. I always put it back because I know exactly where it goes. I know what pocket, what side of the pocket. I know exactly where it is. And more times than not, my stuff is the shit that gets fucked with. And it drives me insane. To the point where I broke up with somebody over it one time. Let me tell you that story. So I was dating this person, and whatever. I'm not even gonna go into it. I was dating this person. Let's just say that. Focus.
Gotcha.
I was dating this person, and they were at my house while I was at work one day, and they took it upon themselves to do some cleaning and stuff like that. Not that it needed it, but they were just being nice, and I was like totally cool with that. But I came home and I'm standing in my bathroom, and I take my earrings out and I just set them on the counter, and they go, "Oh, those don't belong there."
Okay.
I think that just like Rose, the devil horns, like came out of my, like, just shot out of my head. And I looked over and I'm like, nobody tells me where to put stuff in my own house.
Right.
Are you leaving? And I broke up with them. Like, I was just like I was so triggered by that. I was just like, they had done a couple of things that led up to my extinguishing that relationship.
Okay.
But I was just like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, they told me
Wow.
where to put I was just like, no, we're not doing this, because I'm a very organized person. Don't tell me where to put my shit. Here's where it comes from.
Where does it come from?
My childhood, of course.
Of course it does.
I never had anything of my own. It was always taken or used or eaten or something like that. And so as an adult, I'm like, I don't need to worry about that anymore. Now my kids are one thing. I get it. Like, I share everything with them, but they better put the shit back.
Yeah.
But like, there was personal things that got taken from me and broken and not cared about. And so it's just like, I only have this much stuff. Can we just leave it alone? Just leave it alone. You don't need to touch it, steal it, wear it, whatever. So it comes from that, like, just getting a bunch of stuff taken away from me and not given back or broken or whatever. Yeah, it's deep seated, but it's such a bad trigger for me. I will admit that it's a bad trigger for me.
I actually so I don't have that, but I also don't feel like I have it. I don't feel like it happens a lot to me, but I remember my former sister-in-law, now wonderful friend. I remember when her daughter, my niece, was growing up and got into those teen years, and she would borrow clothes, right? Now, I was, as a mom of, girls, I always thought it meant I was really cool. When my daughters wanted to borrow my clothes, I was like, hell yeah. Doesn't happen very often. I'm not that cool. But I remember they got into this like period of time where her daughter was like constantly just taking her stuff without asking, like you said, right? And I don't know if it wasn't putting it back, but I'm gonna wager, I guess, probably also not putting it back. And I just remember she got to the point where she put a padlock on her door because she realized her daughter was borrowing her bras. And she was like, oh, hell no, that is a line. That is a line. I'm not
We don't share underwear.
sharing my underwear with you.
Yeah.
And so I remember there was a period of time where she had like a little padlock on her door, which I'm I don't remember it, but now I'm wondering, but it must be because her daughter had figured out how to pick those little locks. You know how the locks on
Oh, like a diary lock.
Right, exactly. It's going to keep out all the serial killers. But anyway, you just made me think about that, right? That memory of that happening. And for me, it's like putting things back where they belong is, I think, I think I've kind of learned to like, okay, it is what it is, right? Because you can't control everything. But I definitely am not quite, I think, as OCD as maybe Kyle is, but I like things to be tidy. And so I am like that person who, like, the kids know, like, okay, if you drop your backpack when you walk in the door, that's fine, but I expect it to be upstairs. Like, I don't want all the shit sitting all over,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. What other pet peeves do we have? Because I now that I'm thinking about it, I don't have a ton, but I do have certain things that trigger me. I
don't like littering.
There you
That's
go.
a pet
Oh,
peeve.
yes.
Like if I'm driving down the street or something and I see somebody just like roll the window down and throw the cup out. If I'm close enough, I'm probably going to get out and grab it and be like, "Oh, did you drop this?"
Yeah.
Just because.
Oh, you just reminded me of one. But yes. And Kyle, you know what pisses me? Like, I remember, so East Coast, I grew up in Virginia, right? So I think that might be more of a Southern thing. And the reason I say that is, like, I don't think I've ever driven around here in Southern California and seen someone throw something from their car. But when I was growing up in rural Spotsylvania, Virginia, I remember like driving home, like, I don't know, elementary age, middle school age, whatever, with my mom and her literally giving me trash to throw out the window. I fucking remember that. And I'm like, now I look at that and I was like, and it was just, that was normal. Like, we just did that, right? And now I think back to that and I was like, oh my God, what was happening?
Well, I'm here to reassure you that it happens all the time in Southern California, because just go down by where I work, and I've literally on our campus, you've seen it. It's like cobblestone paved, super nice on the inside. I've watched people drive in front of the center and take a handful of stuff and throw it out the window inside of our campus. And I'm like, did that just happen?
I don't. It's just to me, it's just a sheer sign of laziness. It's like, you can probably wait a minute and just, I mean, if you look around, there's gas stations, there's there's all kind of places, strip malls. Just pull over and throw it out, like.
For me, it's a sign of entitlement. And the one you made me remember, which made me go, oh my God, was crap.
Oh, she's dying. Oh God, she's dying. She's dying.
Please don't die.
Janice, don't die.
This is the first time I mentioned you can't die right now.
Even went off camera. Oh my God.
No, I'm here. I suddenly remembered YouTube and I was like, they don't need to see this. All right.
But I'm glad we're hearing it. So
please don't witness my demise.
A pet peeve is choking on my own spit. No, you made me think about fucking people who leave their grocery carts in the middle of the parking lot. That is probably my biggest pet peeve. But to what you say, Kyle, it's not laziness, it's fucking entitlement. It's, you know what?
Right.
Somebody else can do it for me.
Yeah.
But apparently there is some sort of hero that I've seen on Instagram or some sort of social media. And this guy, what he does is he goes into parking lots, and if people get out their car and leave it there, before they leave, he zip ties it to the door handle of their car. So they can't, like.
Yes.
It's just great. Or he'll go behind them. He'll wait and he'll just go and he'll put the grocery cart right behind their car. So they have to get out to move it so they can back their car out.
I love it.
Because, I think like those people in the grocery store who are not getting paid a lot of money to clean up carts, they have enough to do, right? And so it just, and here's what's interesting. And I swear this is the connection I've made here. I don't know if it's common. So we live in about 10 minutes in either direction. There's a grocery store, same chain. It's called Vons here. It's Safeway on the East Coast. And one is in a neighborhood that I would call a little bit more upscale. It's not like it's any major, high end or whatever, but a little bit more The other is in a neighborhood that's a little like more like solid middle class, maybe a little less. Always, always, always at the one where it's a little bit more of a higher income area. That's where they fucking leave the carts out. The
Yep.
people at the other one clean up their own shit, right? Put their stuff away and it's all good. But and we go to both. And I swear to you, I've never seen a cart randomly sitting in the one where it's like kind of solid middle class, just, you know, whatever. The other one, all the time. All the time. There's at least a half a dozen carts sitting all over the place.
Yeah,
It's
see,
insane.
it's just lazy. It's lazy, and I agree with you. It's a sort. It's an entitlement. It's a well, I don't have to do that.
Or I'm too busy.
People who work here, whatever. You know, and
I'm
it's
in a
like,
hurry. And I'm like, we're all in a fucking hurry. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Everybody's got something to do.
Exactly. That's a big, big one for me. Oh my God, that makes me insane.
Yeah, that is a shitty one. That is
probably a close second to the noise when people eat.
No, that is horrible. That is a horrible, horrible sound. I cannot stand that. I've actually looked over at people doing that in restaurants.
Well, it is. Sorry.
I'm kind of thinking like, you know, I mean, maybe you would prefer to eat it on the floor out of a dog bowl or something. I mean, we can
want a trough?
Yeah, would you like a trough?
That's a good hint. You know, just take their plate and gently set it on the floor. Oh, I thought I would make it easier for you. No,
or just bring it up to their face. Like I'm helping you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I did look it up in anticipation of our conversation. I did look up like what are some of the most common pet peeves, and the ones that I found that are like, oh my God. So I'll just run through them really quickly. Micromanagement. I think we can all kind of agree to that, right? That's just annoying. And then it's loud chewing or drinking, being late, interrupting, talking during a movie. Hate that. People who walk slow, which I thought was really funny. People who walk slow. So that was one. Staring at someone's phone. I hate that when people are like trying to be over my shoulder. We just talked about this the other day.
We just talked about it. Yep.
And then the last one is clipping your nails in public.
Okay, look. I will not.
No.
If you are sitting at your desk clipping your freaking toenails or your fingernail, go to the bathroom. If you really, if that thing
I'll cut you. I'm not.
God, I swear to God, I will throw a punch if a freaking fingernail touches me. I can't. No,
that's gross as shit. It's so funny that you said that.
Long fingernails that are dirty. I know.
No.
Cut your freaking fingernails.
Thank you. Well done. Not a surprise, Kyle. Kyle's showing us his perfectly manicured fingers. Not a surprise.
Yes.
But what did it make you think of, Kyle?
Yeah, what did you think of, Kyle?
For pet, let's see. That whole fingernail thing.
Dude. I remember that a story once upon a time, and literally like in my work space. We were in, this was back when I was in Virginia, and it was some kind of community event in the evening. I don't remember the purpose of it, but I just remember that a couple of the school board members from this district were there, right? And I only remember that because I kid you not, like, I don't know, event with like 50, 60 people sitting around round tables, having all kinds of different conversations. This woman, probably in her, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s, pulls off her sock, sitting right there, clips her fucking toenails.
What?
And
in what?
I just remember looking around like,
oh,
what the hell do you do? Like, what could you? There's literally nothing we could do.
Did it just dawn on her? Oh my God, I need to clip my toenails at this very fucking moment.
You know what? You know what would have fixed that? You know what would have fixed that? If I would have found that goddamn dog that pissed on my foot and it could have pissed on hers.
I have a shoe for you.
That'll teach you to take your shoes off.
Oh my God.
I just remember, thank you for bringing that up. I had repressed that memory effectively, and now it's right back there.
Right back there.
Big fucking gnarly
terrible.
And just clipping her nails sitting right there. But I will say the phone thing makes me crazy too. Like it's that, and I don't have one of those like screen things that black it out, so people can't see it, because I don't care. I'm not looking at shit that, but it makes me a little crazy when somebody's like just looking over. I'm like, what's we were laughing about this the other day, because I said when like my husband will, I said, Joe will Facebook, I can't remember what I called it, but basically where he'll like hijack, right? Because like I'll be like scrolling and he doesn't do Facebook, right? Which is totally fine. But he'll be staring at mine and he'll be like, who's that? What's that person do? And I'm like, fucking look
You
at
want my
Facebook,
phone?
bro. Go look at
Here.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Here.
So you're like, I would like to welcome you to the World Wide Web, where you can do this as well.
It is very funny. So those were some of the ones I was like, and almost every single one of them, like the being late thing, I don't care a lot about. I mean, if it's like, you know, it's just if it's a pattern.
You're always late though. If you're always late, like if somebody's always late, like that, I have to prepare myself for it because they're always late. But it does. It's like it's kind of like a disrespect of my time. You know, like we plan this, we're going whatever, and it's like, gosh, dang it. Like seriously, like come on, let's go.
If it's one of these things that happens, you know, same thing, like, you know, in a work environment, whatever it is.
Right.
If you're gonna be late, just give somebody a heads up at least.
Yeah.
At least call, communicate, say, hey,
especially now.
I'm running a little bit behind, but
there's
like
no
it's a
excuse.
constant thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just almost like
now. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Everybody can wait on me. And it's like,
right.
Really?
Oh, you know what? But there are people with that mentality because, again, seeding from my childhood, that was my mom. Like, she would wait till the very last minute. We would be ready to go to school. We'd be waiting, lunchbox in hand. Like, we packed our lunch. We did everything. She comes out of bed. I got to go to the bathroom. Oh, I got to do this now. Blah. And we were late every day. So my Devin and I, we went to the same junior high school because we're only 13 months apart. He and I, for my 7th grade and his 6th grade year, spent every lunch in detention because we were late every day because of my mom.
Oh. And see, that's not cool.
But see, for a long time, I was meticulous about my timing and everything else. Now I'm a little bit more relaxed with it. You know, I'm not late, but I'm not so, you know, anal retentive over it. And I have to be there right at this time or whatever.
Right.
But that, you know, like ruled my life for a very long time. I was just so like, I have to be on time because I knew how I felt, you know, when people were late for me. And I had to suffer consequences, but
But, you know, I mean, that also brings a whole different chapter for another time, but it's like that because of certain things that have happened in your past and in your childhood.
This is why we do things. Well, that's what our whole show's about.
Well, but that's the thing. There's so many people out there that will they just kind of throw in the cards, so to speak. And they're just like, well, I grew up really rough, so I'm just going to continue the path.
Yeah.
It's not my fault, you know, and they use it as a crutch. And it's like, then you have people like yourself that's like, no, I know what I went through. And I know I do not want my life to be like this. So no matter how hard I have to work, no matter all this stuff, I mean, like taking care of all the kids by yourself all this time.
Yeah, right.
Without help.
Yeah.
And just doing it with a positive attitude and just like such a drive for so long to just be like, you know what? No, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. And no, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better.
I'm so tired now.
And now, and now you're actually coaching people how to do all these things.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And like, but that's what I mean. Like you took something that was negative and contorted it and twisted it to make it beneficial for yourself.
Yeah.
And for everybody
around
and everybody around you and everybody, you know, involved in your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is super rad.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, man.
Super rad, unicorn mermaid girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I leap through the air? Should I swim? Like, I don't know. There was another one that I thought of that shoot, it was very particular. I can't think of it right now, but another one is personal space. Like when you're standing in the line at the grocery store and that person behind you is like breathing on your neck.
Yeah.
I get so creeped out by that. And sometimes people don't even know they're just like close talkers or like somebody's close talking to you and you back up and they get closer. I like, okay, that's a major pet peeve for me when it comes to closeness and it's uninvited, you know.
I have your response. Your response is, and it's the response that I can't remember what movie I was watching the other day, and they said this, and I've heard this line before, and it's so funny. You know, like the principals at, you know, when you're monitoring like dances at schools with kids and you're trying to get them to separate, I would say things like, "We're not here to make babies." But another great line. Another great line is, "I gotta leave space for Jesus." So you just step away from it.
I fucking love that. I was getting ready to
when you're dancing at, yeah, it's like there's Jesus, or there's no room for Jesus, or something like that.
I don't see any room for Jesus here.
Exactly. Exactly. You can just use that line, Jane. Just like, "Ooh, I just need some room for Jesus." Like, just you know, back it up. Back it up.
Back it up. He needs some space.
Or you can make it awkward and turn around and just go for that like weird awkward hug, looking at him like. Or you're gonna like, stare off way weird, you know.
Right, that's true. Not make eye contact, or just step aside and be like, "Go ahead." Like if you got to be that close to me, feel free to go right ahead. Right. The other kind of like more timely one in terms of like it's newer because technology is newer is when people are listening or like on a phone or what, and the volume's way far up and they don't have headphones in. Like they're having a full phone conversation and they're on speaker and everybody like everything.
Yeah.
Huge pet peeve. That's a massive pet peeve.
What the hell? It just makes me like, again, it's that same idea of like, you know, just like your kind of comfort and rights and whatever you want to call it can go as far as your space. But when you're starting to invade my space, that's a whole different ballgame. Like just be respectful of the people around you, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that's another one.
I like to walk up next to them while they're on speakerphone or FaceTime, like at Walmart or whatever, and I'll get behind them and be like, "Yo, what's up, man? How you been?" And they're looking, they're like, "Man, do I know you?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I thought this was like a group thing, you know? Thought we could all hang out and high five and shit."
Yeah. This is where we've moved into the solution part of our programming. For anybody who's wondering, now we're solving all the pet peeves.
Solving them. Or giving you new ways to cope, you know, and really fuck with the
We're giving troughs to the open mouth eaters. Giving awkward hugs to the people who stand too close to us. We're joining in on the conversations for the people. I like it. We got a whole list of strategies.
Yeah. No, you know what? The next time somebody reads over my shoulder when I'm on my phone, I'm just going to be like, "Well, do you want to answer the 3,000 emails? Here you go. Thank you."
Exactly.
Okay.
There you go. Let me know when you're done. It'll be great. It'll be great. So I, you know, I knew we were talking about pet peeves, and I knew, you know, that wouldn't necessarily take us an hour, and our fireside chat conversations aren't always
a full hour,
But I gotta tell you, and I don't want to put Kyle on the spot, but I'm gonna ask this question, and you can say I'd rather not answer that, and then we will delete the whole episode, and you can't be on our show. But the question is this: you mentioned that you clean up crime scenes. If we're done with pet peeves for the last like 5 or 10 minutes, I would like, what is like is there any kind of great, I don't know if story is the right word. I don't want to make fun of it.
I don't mind talking about it.
But like, what is that like? Like, and do you have any like the most, like whether it's the grossest or the most horrific or the whatever, like?
Well, the way I look at it is, it's going to be way more worse for like first responders, like your police, your EMTs, all that, because they're going to be the ones that are going in there trying to save the people and doing all that. I just see the aftermath. So, you know, they're the ones really out there taking care of it. So, you know, and it's one of these things where, but I never really know what I'm going to go into, and it's not something I do every day. And I just won't do anything that involves a very small child. Those kind of jobs, I just, and I respect the hell out of the guys that do it, but I just, nope, that's a bit much. But yeah, you'll get some strange ways that people either commit suicide or that could be a gunfight or a bad drug deal or a domestic thing. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Can you tell the story?
Which one?
About the guy that practically chopped his own head off?
Yes.
He
Okay.
committed suicide with a, what did he commit suicide with?
Okay, there's a shed behind his house, and apparently he wanted to do this in a pretty rough fashion. And because usually when people commit suicide, they're usually doing it as a very bold statement, or they're trying to be very quiet.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be messy. They're not trying
to
give a big fuck you to the world kind of thing, you know. But yeah, this guy took an electric chainsaw.
Oh my
and
God.
he held it to the right side of his neck for a while, and it didn't go through fast enough. I guess he was bloody, so he turned around and held it on the other side, and it got into his jugular, and it just kept going and going until he just blacked out and bled out all over the floor. But he left a note that said, "Sorry, I had to kill the demons."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was, I mean, he was definitely mentally ill, obviously, and stuff like that. And I, probably shouldn't have brought up a suicide. But the reason why is that, like, he had to explain to me that when you go into a crime scene, and have to clean it up, anything that has biomatter on it has to be taken out. So he pretty much had to like gut this whole shed because of the splatter and everything and how bad it was. And then when he was doing that, you found a dehydrated
the other one,
dead dog
under
here's the shed.
Okay.
Yeah, there was like,
this was wild because a buddy of mine, Colombian guy, was helping me out, and anytime we go into jobs, he's a very spiritual guy, so he's always like, and doing all this stuff before he goes in and everything. And we had already torn down the whole inside, the walls and all that stuff, and it's down to the framework now. But because of so much of the area floor was damaged, we had to cut the floor out. So when I cut the floor out, I was using a big pry bar, and I got the floor, this one big piece of wood out, and I saw that there was like a mummified dog that'd been under there for like,
oh my God,
God knows how many years or whatever. So I cranked it up, and I looked, and I was like, oh shit. And I look over at my buddy, and I was like, what's up? And now keep in mind, we're wearing full hazmat suits with breathing apparatuses and all that stuff. And I'm like, hey man. And he's like, what, man? And I'm like, I think I found a fucking chupacabra, man. He was like, oh, dance me. I can't fuck you, man. What are you talking about? He was freaking out. And then I was like, I'm just kidding, man. It's a dog. And he was like, he looks kind of thirsty. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But no, it's just you have to learn to reroute your brain on a level of but see, the difference is I don't have, and I don't mean this to sound heartless, but I don't have any emotional connection to these people.
Yeah.
It's not, these are people that are complete strangers to me. But I'm still a compassionate human being.
Of course.
So whether they were a bad person, whether they were a good person, whether whatever it was,
there was still
whatever happened, it's still, I'm going to treat it like, okay, if this person has any family, I don't know if they do or not, but I treat them like they all do.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it look like absolutely nothing has happened in there ever.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like, okay, hey, this wall is not here anymore. You're still not going to see any remnants or anything else, just because it's like, if it was me or anybody I know, I'd want someone, and if that something bad happened, I sure as hell would want someone to go in there and do the shit correctly.
Yeah.
Because it's already bad enough. They're dealing with something bad anyway, but like,
that's right.
But to see actually what happened, because a lot of the times you have people that are, a single person by themselves, and all of a sudden they have people flying in, family coming in that didn't know, and they've just been notified by the authorities, like, hey, this person's gone.
Yeah.
So you just look at it as, yeah, man, I'm just, I'm cleaning this up, doing what I got to do for the family,
Yeah. That's really awesome.
There's a lot of strange things about it.
I'm sure. And there's, again, it's like because, and I really appreciate the compassion that you're talking about there, and I know we've kind of come down off of our pet peeve like high, so we're kind of you know, coming down on a more mellow place, but and the reason I say that is because, you know, it's easy to think like when something tragic happens, oh, I could never live in that house again. Oh, I could not. But honestly, most people don't have a choice. Most people
Right.
don't have the means to just like get up and leave because the house
Right.
had this terrible thing that's happened in it to somebody they really loved or whatever, right?
Right.
Most people have to stay there. And so to know that there are people like you know, behind the scenes, thinking about it in that way. How do I make sure that you know, there's nothing visible here that will remind them, right? That's just really,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I like it, but I know people that do it every single day of their lives, and
That's hard work, man.
they become, a lot of them, it's kind of like the same thing with guys that are in the military for a really long
Yeah.
time. Or someone that's been in prison for a long time, and they become like institutionalized.
Yeah.
They become different. They become different. And some of them just don't really come back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well,
And
and they
it's
have to
kind of sad.
compartmentalize, you know,
Yep.
I'm sure they have to like
Yeah.
completely compartmentalize, you know,
Yep.
just like you said, like the EMTs and the, you know, the cops and all the people who have to, you know, go in and
To me, that's way
do those
worse.
things. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
me, that's way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear
You
you.
know, there's a guy that I know that's he used to be a paramedic and up in New Jersey, and there was he got called to a job one time, and go out there, and there was a lady at the park that had put her seatbelt on, and she zip tied it and tied all this tape around it and all this kind of stuff, so she couldn't get out, and she drove her car into the lake
Mm.
and had her windows up, but she did it at a park and left her kids on the playground while she did it,
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
and drove in there, and by the time the paramedics and everybody got there,
yeah.
they couldn't save the mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, it was like, that's pretty awful. You know what I mean? Like, you just leave your kids at a park and you do this. I mean, but you don't know what's going through the people's heads. So it's one of these things where it's like, well, there was nothing they
Pick
could
up
do to
and
save
keep
this lady.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep
Well,
going,
because
because
it's
it's
the
like,
whole like you have to imagine that that's how much pain she was in, right?
Right.
And
right.
that's
Right.
the only solution she saw. And as a mom, you know, I can only imagine that for her, that's
Yep.
the safest thing she could do for them. Thank God, right? We've heard the
Right.
stories of the
They'd take
parent
the
or the
kids
mom that
too.
takes the kid with them. So thank God
Mhm.
she left them there. But the sad and what's so sad about that is that that's just always going to be a part of their story now. You
Right.
know, like that's the
Yeah.
like that's now always a part of their story. So that's such a hard thing, and it's hard to imagine being in enough pain to do something like that, right? So
Well, and that's the thing. Like, when I had first started doing this kind of work, because you know, we're always raised that, like, no suicide, no this, no this, no
yeah, of
this, no
course.
this, and all that kind of stuff. And then, like, the more that I've done this stuff, it's like, because I always thought it was just the most cowardly thing you could do,
Mm,
you know? And it's just like, when I've heard some of these people's stories and some of the stuff, I'm like, shit, man. Like,
yeah,
oh,
it's
some of these
horrible.
people truly felt like there is absolutely, no matter what they did in this world,
Yep,
there is nothing that they still wanted to be part of.
that's
Yeah.
right.
They had enough of it all. And it was just like, that's really powerful. And I mean, you know, we all know the mind can take you to places that are just absolutely horrific,
That's
but the
right.
mind can also take you to places that are really beautiful as well.
Exactly.
So you have to, I guess
Balance.
the way I look at things, like, anytime I'm dealing with anything that's really like stressful to me or anything like that, or anything like that, I try to, like you're talking about compartmentalizing, I try to bring it in to think of things like, okay, my daughters are healthy. All the people I care about are okay. I got a roof
Gratitude,
over my
baby.
head. All this, right? This, right?
Yeah,
But like, I feel like if I don't do that, that's when you start slipping into the darkness and letting
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
So you have to keep, no matter what it is, and it's much easier to say when you're not the one in the situation.
That's right.
Right.
But it's like, we all have things that we try to do, whether it's, okay, if you feel like you're in a stressful environment or something, what do I need to do to kind of calm me down?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's more like, you know what? You know, works for me.
Amazing.
I need to take 10 deep breaths.
Yeah.
I need to try to slow down my heart rate.
Yeah.
And I try to just kind of, all right, what else do I need to do? You know, like, but just to try to, it's like a constant reroute, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's for me, it's you know, kind of as we're wrapping up here, but it's gratitude. Like I don't necessarily write it down every single day, but I take a moment every single day to do what you said about thinking about the things that I have to be grateful for, because, you know, there's a scientific basis for the impact that just taking a couple of minutes and thinking about the things that you do have that make you grateful, that the impact it has on you, you know, on the biology, right, of your body is huge. So that's for me, I think the thing, whether I'm feeling particularly stressed or not, I just try to make it a habit every single day, so that it almost is like getting ahead of being overly stressed or getting ahead of being overly anxious, having, you know. Yeah.
It's keeping everything, trying to go in that fluid motion.
Exactly.
Be like, you know what? Hell yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
it's all about perspective.
Had a homeless guy tell me one time. He said, hey man, did you open your eyes today? I said, yeah. He said, you can hear me talking to you? I said, yeah. He said, you got a little food in your stomach, you can taste, you can smell this beautiful world we live in? I said, yeah. He said, when you got out of bed, you put one foot in front of the other? I said, yeah. And he goes, well, what's your fucking problem? And walked off. And I was just like,
yeah.
But it was one of those things that I'm like, man, this is coming from a homeless dude.
Right.
And
it's all about
for him to have that out. And for him, I mean, and this dude looked like he'd been there since the fucking earth cooled. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, like leather skin, you know what I mean? Just worn from the elements.
Yeah.
But he wasn't saying it ugly, like, what the fuck's your problem? He said it with a smile on his face, as if to say, like, hey man.
Yeah.
Exactly. Remember?
Like Jesus?
You know?
I know. We're back to Jesus again, man. Back to Jesus
Brought it
again.
back around.
I know.
Loop on Jesus.
That's right.
Oh my God. Well, Kyle.
You never know, right? Who's gonna have the word?
Wrap up, but we really appreciate your time with us tonight, Kyle.
This has been really fun.
Thanks, Bestie. Yeah.
It's great to get to know you. And I have a cousin who lives in it's near Atlanta. Hold on, I pulled it up. In Flowery Branch. I don't know how far close that or whatever that is. But
that, I shit you not, that's about 10 minutes north of me.
I got to introduce you to, seriously, you remind me so much of my cousin. It's not even funny. Seriously. I'm actually being dead serious about that. We'll figure out how to make that introduction, because he's right there, man. And he is such a great person and has such a great heart, and you clearly do as well. And so you can never have too many of those people in your life. So I'm going to figure out how we make a connection, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Let's
cool.
do this.
I love it. All right, you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you.
All
right, guys, we're getting a sneak peek of Kyle's shoe collection in his closet. And don't neglect the color coordination of all the clothing and the finger spacing of the hangers.
That is OCD at its best. I love it. I fucking love it. Oh, yeah. That's amazing. All right, now we know. But goodbye, Kyle.
All right, goodbye, Kyle. All right, now that we're out of Kyle's closet,
I thought he was going to come out of the closet while we were on the episode, and I was like, I'm not ready. This is not the episode. That's not what he said.
No, this is
that episode.
October 11th.
Exactly. Not the right date. No, he was great. He absolutely lived up to what you said, Jane. He's a sweetheart dude, man. Yeah, he's a really good dude. And I love that these conversations, literally, like, this episode is going to be all about pet peeves. And oh, by the way, a little bit of, sad stuff at the end.
Yeah, Jesus. And then I have to go and bring up freaking the one crime scene that was suicide. I'm sorry. Okay. Disclaimer to all of our fans.
That's right.
I am very sensitive to death and suicide and everything else. I wanted to explain the scene of the extent of what he does.
That's right. I know.
Sorry
that
if I upset anyone.
Crazy.
It was not meant.
In his intro, as soon as he said, "I clean up crime scenes," I was like, "Oh, we have."
Oh, you're like, yes.
We're gonna have to talk a little bit about that. But he was really great. All right, you guys, thank you as always for spending time with us. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow all the things, and share, for fucking God's sake, share, right?
Yeah,
Like,
share with your friends. My
nobody's
God,
gonna know us if you don't share. So for God's sakes, please share. But are we
Don't be
being
greedy.
obnoxious enough? I feel like we're being obnoxious enough.
Well, I think that our fans should stop being so greedy with us.
You know what? That's actually right. I can see how they probably want to hold us close and don't want
They do.
everybody to know us. Yeah,
Rose, you better stop being so greedy and
That's
share.
Right. Share already. Anyway, you guys, thanks so much. Peace out.
All right, bye.